Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Magic Arena Run. Today we're going to be continuing our series on updating the Precons. So here we have blue-red Spellpower. So this is basically an all spells, well, not all spells deck, it's quite mostly spells. They do give us some of the best payoffs in like Stormwing Entity, Shark Typhoon. So basically get paid off for casting spells. And they do give us a lot of other tools. We have a copy of Brazen Borrower, so that's a very good mythic to have, especially if you're starting out. Also give us Stolen by the Fae, which is a good way to build up the board on the side. There are actually a few other payoffs that are not included here, which we can add. Let's see, we have a Riddle form here, that's another creature. My only concern is that they're giving us a lot of creatures that are otherwise need a bit of help. Like, we have Spell Eater Wolverine, it's a 3-2. Sure, it has double strike, but it doesn't cover up the fact that it still is only 2 toughness. So there is quite a bit of removal that can take this out easily. We have Spell Gorger Weird. This one's a bit harder, but and it does grow a bit. So, but they gave us good spells, but they didn't give us the great payoffs. They do give us a few good ideas though. Like, you have Merfolk Secret Keeper. At least it gives us a board on the sides. Basically, it gives us a huge backside to protect us a bit. We also have Vodalen Arcanist as a way to accelerate some of our spells. And it doesn't accelerate all our spells. Thankfully, most of them are instants and sorceries though. Some Forbidden Friendship, another way to generate a few creatures. You have a Wavebreak Hippocamp, so whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. Sounds very good on paper. In fact, we do have 3 Ops, 2 Shocks, 2 Anticipates, 2 Frostbreads. Many good ways to benefit off it, but oh yes, 3 Scorching Dragonfire also. So we're gonna give this one a try. We're gonna take a look at the setup. We are running 25 lands. We'll see how we can make this work. So, and as always, what we're gonna do is we're gonna give the deck a shot early, as is. We're not without any additions. Then afterwards, I'm going to edit the clone version of it, and we're gonna see if we can make it better after the halfway mark. So yeah, so let's give this one a go. Let's see how this pans out. So just do a little quick check here. Okay, I'll probably get that link late. I get that link much later and all that. So what are we looking for? We're basically looking for payoffs. I actually have a few ideas of what the payoff should be. We're looking for other spells. Like, we do have a lot of 1-drop spells, and we already are benefiting from that. We're also going to try to consolidate our rares and mythics. And yeah, because there's one card I did not talk about, it's the 5 mana doubling enchantment. Does it on paper it doesn't feel like a great idea, because it's basically a 5 mana that doesn't do it. It's a 5 mana drop that doesn't do anything. It gets busted next 2 turns, but you probably might have expended everything by then. So we have a little bit of tension here. We have spells. We have Spell Gorger Weird. We probably have to cast these turn 1, turn 2, because we really don't have any other creatures other than the Arcanist. So I definitely will leave up Op first. I don't know if we're gonna be able to grow this, but okay, we do have options at least. So at least we have 2 spells we can cast after the Spell Gorger Weird. So opponent doesn't like what they see. I kinda don't like what I see either. Okay, so we have a choice between the Weird and the Wolverine. Wolverine's actually better as a late drop. So we're gonna push our aggro game a little bit. So at least we have some board presence if ever we need to. We now have a Stormwing Entity. Unfortunately, our mana's not quite working, so I'll probably just drop the Spell Gorger Weird next turn. If our opponent has removal or counters for this, go ahead. Basically, what I want to do is I want to bait everything that our opponent has out. So Scorching Dragonfire, go. Fire Prophecy, go. Shock, go. Opponent's bound to set up their Storming if you want to spend your 2 spells on 1.5 creatures, go. So at least, even if we lose the Stormwing entity, I will still get the... I would still get the Scry 2, which is kind of relevant for us. So let's do it now. I'm concerned our opponent has a counter spell, considering they really didn't do anything. I'm gonna keep the weird on top. Here comes the counter spell. Yep, neutralized. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Next turn, if our opponent just plays the Bone Crusher... Actually, I should have thought of that, because if you really don't have anything, you probably were just going to play the Bone Crusher Giant then and there. So I'm gonna cast this now. I'm gonna drop the Wave Break Hippocamp. Again, missing mana is a bit of an issue here. But we need to get out as many counter spells, and considering our opponent's clearly running them. If our opponent lets this drop, it means they have a burn spell. Nope, Shark Typhoon X equals 2. That said, as far as adventures go, yeah, I would like Bone Crusher Giant. It's basically a spell and a creature. That's definitely a plus. I will add that. Okay, got it. Experimental Overload. I'm just actually gonna pass the turn. Opponent has tricks. Okay. So I'm going to... Actually, no, I can wait it out a bit. So pass. Let's see what our opponent does. We don't have any counter spells of our own. Probably an issue. So at least we get to draw a card off this, which it might help us with the weird and whatnot. Opponent probably counters this. That's kind of fine, I guess. It will force our opponent to cast Bone Crusher unless they have more of a board afterwards. Sublime Epiphany, counter... Oh, they literally countered everything, including the draw card. Oh, wow. So, yeah, Sublime Epiphany is something to consider. We don't have a real way to remove any of... Like, right now we're getting beaten. We're going to be taking 8 damage up in the air, so that's an issue. And yeah, we're still missing mana drops. Yeah, opponent landing... It took us way too long, so the Sublime Epiphany was an issue. So... For lack of something better, I probably should just drop this. It's at least... It's at least 6 damage if our opponent can't respond, but chances are our opponent has it. Okay, I'm gonna concede this one. We have way too many creatures that don't do anything relatively quick. So Spellgorger Weirds are gonna go, the Wolverines are gonna go. They just they do things, they synergize, but their synergy they're too slow for what they are. Their payoffs are not there. But we need to test out the other spells as well. Like, we got 3 copies of Experimental Overload, but is it worth it? Is it worth it? Or should we be... Because it gives us a creature, it buys back a card from our graveyard. Definitely mulliganing this. We're gonna take a risk and keep this. I will bin the land. Basically, we have... So I need to know what kind of deck this is. I probably will not cast Secret Keeper then. I might actually just go for the cycle on the Boon of the Wishgiver. So cycling is a good option. If this was historic, I would be playing Hieroglyphic Illumination. This is probably the next best thing. Okay, so opponent is running black. My question is this... Okay, black-blue symbiote. So it's mutate. We have to Dragonfire that, but we are in need of lands. Okay, we hit that land. Okay, here's the problem. It's a good thing we actually hit this though, so I can't complain too much. So I'm actually gonna just mill for now. Problem is, okay, so it's soul type based on the colors cards we knocked out. If our opponent drops the Migratory Greathorn, we are never getting this off. Gem Razor, we're not taking it out. We would literally Boneyard Lurker. Yeah, that's also a problem too. We would literally need another red mana so I can both Scorch and Shock. So the mana is an issue also. I kind of want to lean this more towards red because we're not exactly playing counter spells. This is pretty much the one weakness of it's pretty much the one weakness of spell-based decks that are made as Precons. For some reason, they do not want to give you counter spells. Like, what gives? It's not like counter spells are the enemy. In fact, it's perfectly fine. So here comes another problem. If our opponent equips this, we'll never be able to remove it. So actually, this might be game at this point because our only chance to remove this is gone. We might have to we will literally have to Brazen Borrower the shield off. Okay, got Stormwing Entity. So for lack of something better to do, mill our opponent for 4 cards. Drop the Stormwing Entity. Hit another land. It's not reds, but we do get the opt. So I'm gonna keep that anyway. So next turn, we have to just keep dropping stuff that will not. So Parcel Beast. So far so good. It's the things our opponent's dropping is not quite aggressive. Well, they're even discarding the Gem Razor. Like what? Well, they can get it back. Let's be fair. So our opponent could get it back. No, gets the Greathorn back. If we were playing black, a sacrifice effect would do it for our opponent. So our opponent's just gonna get everything that we binned in back. So not quite great. We can play Spell Eater Wolverine, but we will be missing a spell. I probably will still have to do it anyway. So far, our opponent hasn't demonstrated removal. I'm pretty sure they will have something like Chittering Harvester, so I have to... So we're just gonna have to rush this one. Our opponent's literally all in on this one creature, but we have no way of removing this. Yeah, barring... Yeah, we missed... Yeah, our man... Okay, our opponent's now about to go sideways, which is not great because we're about to lose the Spell Eater Wolverine. Well, can't be helped. We probably were going to lose it anyway. Oh no! So we lose this. We're forced to sacrifice this. You know, could have been worse. But yeah, that's the problem with the 2 toughness. It's too soft. This is really not gonna... Opponent's holding back. Does this have reach? No, neither of these have reach. Okay, we really have to play this one out. No, I'm just gonna shock one. If we're gonna take out so we're literally just racing in the air. We're probably still in trouble though. Like we're about to take 8. I'm assuming our opponent's gonna mutate onto here. If it's double chittering, we might as well concede at this point. And in fact, we're probably gonna lose quite a bit of life here. Like how many cards have been mutated here? 3 times. So opponent will go up to 14. We will go down to 13. Yeah, so basically we had yeah, basically the mana is an issue. That's pretty much the one thing we will always have to fix first. So another harvester. Yeah, let's concede here. even if our opponent's putting it up here, that we just sacrifice one, it's still a problem. We literally were not able to deal with our opponent, and even so, and even without the mirror shield, it would still be an uphill battle. Let's do one more match. But so far, really not impressed. The first ones were still, the first few standard decks were a bit more impressive. I think it's when they try to swing too hard in the, oh, you mix this together with mixing these, like you add these cards, then you just play all these spells. It's really I call this the A plus B curse, or it's really the problem of A plus B mechanics, where you need to have A, you need to have B. If it, like the mutate deck, it wants to have creatures early, but otherwise they can design in a way that I can just cast my mutate creature just as it is. I don't have to use the mutate immediately if I have to in a pinch. So it will always be live. It might be slower. That's probably where it gets problems. Yeah, the mana is an issue. We have at least a turn 1, turn 2, but we're literally digging for a red source. And here's the double vision that the problem is, by the time we get to this mana, we probably played all of these cards out anyway, so it's really not good. Okay, opponent thankfully goes Castle Lockwain. We gotta anticipate, so I'm definitely keeping that up top. Still don't have the red source, but at least with the anticipate, we get to. It's essentially scrying tree. Now, given what we have, I'm gonna do the anticipate now. We're digging for the land. So opponent probably takes this. Actually, I have no idea what our opponent will take. It will really depend on the makeup of our opponent's deck. They take the card that I really have no intention of playing, so sure, that's fine. I'll take it. We'll play the Arcanist. We'll cycle Wishgiver. Then, actually, that's nice because we can cycle Wishgiver. Then we can do the experimental overload. We'll get only 3 creep. We'll get a 3/3 at least, but we can get the Wishgiver back. So that's even more ways to draw cards. I could also just get back Opt, but depending on our land situation, we might be able to cycle this. Soul Guide Lantern. Is our opponent gonna try to nuke our graveyard immediately? You know what? So be it. They're gonna take out the Opt. So I'm gonna actually wait on this a bit because our opponent could just tap this anytime, so I'll end up making a 0/0. It will just blank the experimental overload, so we're gonna hold off on that. In fact, I might just end up casting Boon straight. Oh wait, cancel the attack. You know what? Let us cast Boons. Oh wait, next turn. So I could have attacked. That was a goof. Let's see. Our opponent could also sack to draw a card. Okay, they're just sacking to draw a card, so that's actually fine for us. Yeah, I forgot. I need to play one more land. So we're not going to cycle this yet. We're actually going to just cast this straight. If our opponent kills this, then maybe we do cycle it, then just buy it back with experimental overload. We will be getting Storm's Wrath. Sure. So we will cycle this now. Now the problem is Exile Experimental Overload means we don't get to get super benefits off that. So we will get back Boon of the Wishgiver. So that didn't quite pan out. This is normally more of a later game card. And we don't exactly have any of our payoffs. Our opponent's now about to drop a 5-drop. And all we got to show for is a 2/2 and a few card draws. Not so great. Anticipate. I guess it's kind of fine. Okay, like this one's gonna take 2 damage. So, and this one's just gonna grow out of hand, so we might not get a shot at this again. So I might end up just casting this straight. Then we could also Scorching Dragonfire Chandra just to tick her down, but by itself that doesn't do much. We will do the one thing that Well, they might have Farika's Libation. The deck is already kind of weird enough as it is. No Timuret chosen for death, so we can start eating our graveyard. So no experimental overload unless we get the full setup. Also have to assume our opponent has things like Heartless Act and whatnot. Okay, let's bin that. Actually gonna just take out Timuret right now, force him to activate it already. We'll still get the benefit of this. Village Rites, sacrifice, sure. Yeah, the way the man is tapped is correct. We didn't have an option. So next turn, this one hits this. Our opponent's about to go +9. But at least our graveyard's not gonna be eaten up so much anymore. I can boon right now, see if I can hit anything else. But I'd rather just do it end of turn. End of turn, Boon of the Wish Givers. Basically cycle that, then just cast Experimental Overload. Get... Okay, opponent digging for cards. It's actually quite... This is already... It's either interesting or bizarre, depending on how you look at it. This... Not often I get to see a Chandra go wild here. Kroxa. Okay. I'm gonna cycle this, but let's see if we hit something, anything. Okay, we hit the land. We will pitch it. I don't know if our opponent has another lantern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Yeah, Spellgorger weird. Experimental Overload. We get stuff. Opponent might respond with removal. I'm kind of expecting it. Opponent's also dug enough cards that... Okay, responds with that. Also, it doesn't quite matter what we get because it's going to get discarded if our opponent goes for Kroxa again. Our only saving grace is that these creatures by themselves are a bit too big for Chandra. If our opponent goes for the Kroxa, they might not have the mana to remove the shark. But we will be literally drawing off the top. Opponent's already gonna get Kroxa. So now these guys have to hold them off. Not so great. I will have no choice but to swing here. Okay, got a Wave Break Hippocamp, so not so great. Yeah, the Hippocamp is really a poor payoff at this point. So, and now while we're taking 3 damage a turn, we're reduced to not dying, and our opponent could just snipe it. So we're gonna kiss the weird goodbye. I don't think we can. Also, what would we? Oh wow. Okay. We'll take the hit. Yeah, Storm Strat. This was literally just blue. Yeah, this one's good game. Okay, I've seen quite enough. Shark Typhoon is a good plan. We'll double down on that. We'll also double down on the Stormwing entity. We're gonna make changes. We're gonna make the most obvious changes first. So, yeah, I've seen enough. Also, it probably means a lot more people are playing Standard 2021, and so all the big guns are coming out. So first, let's start with the obvious ones. I'd like to put that in, but... So, we have... Okay, and we also need to turn these on. Pretty sure there's some cards I'm missing, but first, Sprite Dragon. That's one of our best payoffs. Riddle form, it's actually a big question mark for me. I've never been a great fan of it. Same with the Arcanist, we're gonna cut that. Same with the Forbidden Friendship. Stolen by the Fae, we never got a shot chance at this. We're gonna cut the Secret Keeper. Channeled Force. Discard and draw, maybe not so. Improbable Alliance, something I considered. Perhaps if we add a lot more card draw, then we can go Improbable Alliance. That's a plan we can do. Experimental Overload. Okay, let's cut the Double Vision. Let's cut the boons, I guess. There's a Lock Dragon, but again, the 2 toughness is a problem, so that's why all these creatures have to go. Wave Break Hippocamp goes, Frostbite goes. So we need to have creatures that we can recast the spell, so again, we cut that. Wow. This is gonna be so... I'm gonna have to redo all the lands here too. Well, we're not running Narset, although that kind of feels like it might fit. Lutri is a surprise creature we can use. Basically, any flash creatures is pretty much worth its salt. Well, consider that later. First, we will double up the Brazen Borrower. Basically, we need to have lots of ways to respond to our opponent. That is pretty much one of them. So we got that one. Now, I did say Improbable Alliance, so, because that's a way to get a steady stream of creatures. We probably don't even need a lot of them. Just like, I'll start to 3 for now, but I think 2 is fine. So it's whenever you draw your second card each turn. So we need lots of ways to draw cards. So we will max out Opt. I'm torn between Shock and Dragonfire. Oh yeah, we have to also buff our Stormwing Entity, and in fact, we probably want 3 copies of Stormwing Entity. Shark Typhoon, I guess you can get away with just 2 copies, but you probably want more than that. Stolen by the Fae. The problem is target creature with converted mana cost X. Sure, the bigger it is, the better, but you'll always be 2 mana steps behind. So probably gonna cut that also. So we need spells that can double as creatures. So that's why the Brazen Borrower is in. I'd consider Bone Crusher Giant. That's also a spell that doubles as a creature. Scorching Dragonfire, sure, I think we can get away with 3 copies. Bone Crusher. What's that? There you go. 3 copies of this. So kind of loaded up on rares. We're also gonna add the... Then we also have to rebalance this. Like, Anticipate's fine, but if we're gonna go the card draw plan, I would suggest Frantic Inventory. We can also do Shark Typhoon, basically just do Omen, but I think Frantic Inventory might be a better pick for us. Because at least the second, third, and fourth copies, you can do Improbable Alliance off turn. So what are our creatures? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Experimental Overload, I'd probably cut 1. I probably want to max out the Shock also. Scorching Dragonfire, maybe not so much, but I will max out Shock at least. Or we can add Blitz of the Thunder Raptor instead. Basically, the assumption is if we have enough of these spells, and this scales pretty well. So I'm gonna actually bump these up, cut the Scorching Dragonfire. We're still testing this one. I might actually just go back to putting Riddle Form in there. Ominous Seas, something we can also consider. I'm gonna try out the Riddle Form for now. At least it gives us some free scry triggers if possible. Then let's fix our mana base. So 4 copies Fabled Passage. Scale this down. 8, 6. Okay, we are missing 2 cards. I figured that much. Like Dora, triggers on non-creature if I'm not mistaken. Yes, non-creature. So even enchantments are fine. I might also consider Fire Prophecy just to get the draw card effect. So let's do a land rebalance. Okay, 8-6 is good. Well, I'm okay with that. So this one might seem to be rare heavy. But at least we have the interesting caveat that most of our spells are really cheap, 2, 3. Shark Typhoon, we have an option to cycle it. Stormwing, we have an option to cycle it. I could even cut one land, additional land, say add another Fire Prophecy to keep the drawing alive. So we'll go with this one. Wow, this is... Then I also want to change this style here. There's an bone crusher. Yeah, these are fine. And then wait, oop, not done yet. We're gonna craft those temples. Wow, I'm gonna really run out of wild cards just for these temples. The things I have to do. Yeah, it's set up there. And yeah, we're going to replace it with this one. So we are more aggro based, so we can put more pressure on our opponents. We are not exactly sitting back waiting for our opponent to hit us. We'll see if this pans out better. I know there's the caveat that if our opponent's able to, say, kill our Sprite Dragons and our Stormwing entities, then we are way behind. We'll end up just drawing cards. Other creatures we could consider: Sea Dasher Octopus, a way to, say, buff the Sprite Dragon, Storm, and draw cards. So we got turn 2 Improbable Alliance. I could do Sprite Dragon turn 2, Improbable Alliance turn 3. That's also another possibility. It'll depend on the cards we draw, but I'll lead off on red. It's actually probably safer to just... Okay, Jungle Hollow, not so much. Got Frantic Inventory. So I'm gonna lead off on Sprite Dragon first. This is pretty much one of those must-kill targets. Opponent probably just kills this on the spot, which won't be surprised. Oh no, no kill on the spot. Okay, unfortunately, we are missing blue. Let's see if our opponent responds. No, got Brazen Borrower. We're gonna keep that up top. Opponent has no response early, so we're going to see what our opponent's up to. So at least we can literally buy some time. Oh, opponent's on Soul Tie. They have to be holding something up. There's no way that they got nothing. There you go, they're looking at our cards. They're gonna yep, Drawn in the Lock, destroy target creature. Oh, they're just waiting for me to sack the Fable. It was gonna happen. So we'll hold on off the temple for now. So we'll play Improbable Alliance. We'll play the Frantic Inventory, draw a card, get the token. Next turn we can Brazen Borrower something Stormwing entity. Really, there you go. Carrion Grub. Opponent mills themselves. Oh, this might be just the basic okay, except for Drawn in the Lock. That one's not basic. So we do need more lands. I'm about to hit Shark Typhoon. So I could just blink this one, make him go for it again. I could also cycle one Shark Typhoon. Yeah, let's cycle one. That gives us another token. So our opponent will need to start binning something really big. At least this does not have native trample, so we can kind of buy time. Next turn, I really want to do Shark Typhoon because... Okay, opponent seems to be stuck. I'm trying to think if this has a counter spell. I'm gonna go big or go home. Let's see if our opponent has it. They had it. Okay, Whirlwind Denial. We had to get it out eventually. But at least now we're kind of open for the others. Opponent's also kind of stuck, so... Does our opponent want to counter that? Opponent probably wants to counter this. They might have another Whirlwind. We're gonna lose one. We're not gonna lose the second one. In fact, what I can do is drop, then run the Scry, then attack again. Attack first. Then just cast the other one. Okay, like we got Sprite Dragon, got an island. We don't want the island. I probably don't want the Sprite Dragon either. You know what? Yeah, I probably don't want the Sprite Dragon either. We need to start hitting our spells. I'm gonna swing first though. Let's see if we can get our opponent to cast something. I also probably want to just hold up Stormwing Entity just in case. I can always cast this for 5 mana if I have to. We're just lucky. We're kind of lucky a bit that our opponent's kind of stalled out, although there is no more casualties of war to worry about. And our opponent's literally all in on one creature right now. So basically, all the mill enablers, they're not quite there. Opponent goes Waker of Waves. That's one big creature. So drops that one. Cycles. So there we go. Our opponent now has to spend time here. Or start casting removal spells. Either case is fine with me. I don't think there's a board wipe that can wipe all 4 of these. Wait. Yeah, because these are even. This is odd. So opponent goes back for more, but see, yeah, just concedes right there. Oh wow, that's an interesting one. Yeah, so we managed to get that win. They kind of got stuck. They would have started bringing back the. They would have started bringing back Godzillas and whatnot. Yeah, let's keep this up. Let's see if we would have a really big problem dealing with them. I might consider more bounce spells because we literally have only 4. Well, I guess we can rely on the Blitz as a way to kind of nuke something really large. I don't feel it's that realistic though. Okay, so okay, this is relatively fine as a starter. We can just start drawing cards. We are missing payoffs, but we can buy time. Okay, there's our payoff. I feel like I want to hold the opt, but that'll depend what our opponent drops. I might just leave the. I might just not cast it. Okay, opponent doesn't cast anything. Let's cast opt now. Because this has haste, there's no reason for me to cast it immediately. Let's bin this first. We probably will need. Okay, hit another Bone Crusher Giant, so that's fine. I'm gonna cast Improbable Alliance first. Opponent will have a hard time removing that. We can take our time to snipe our opponent's creatures later on. Bone Crusher Giant. Okay, opponent's just going for our face. So probably just drops that big guy. So hit another one. We're about to take quite a bit of damage though. I'm gonna just draw a card now. It gives us a blocker or forces out the removal spell. Probably should have played the blue source. Well, letting me block, so I'll block. Yeah, if I have a way to bounce, this would be fine. We do have some 3 mana 3-point damage spells. We'll ditch the opt. Opponent goes Village Rites, draw cards. Okay, that's fine. So far so good, but we are still in trouble. Yeah, Temple of Malice. So our yeah, we lack the graveyard hate that we really need. So I'm gonna just drop Sprite Dragon, Frantic Inventory, draw 2 cards. Okay, there's the Brazen Borrower if we need to. So next turn I probably just play the. Okay. Basically, that's really why you want the Improbable Alliance. It saves you a lot of damage. Opponent goes Chandra, Heart of Fire, we kiss the Sprite Dragon goodbye. One thing we can do though. Yeah, I don't like the idea of taking 4 damage. One thing we can do is ping Chandra, bring her down, then drop the Bone Crusher Giant. Or let's accept that we're gonna take the damage just to get this off the board. It's a real suicide play. Let's go for it. Then cast Op just to make sure we have a blocker of some sort. Yeah, we're okay, keeping the shock up top. Yeah, that was a huge suicide play. Probably need to bounce the Chandra. Yeah, we're caught way behind. Yeah, I'm gonna go for the bounce on the Chandra. We can cast a Bone Crusher off it afterwards. If our opponent goes for another Kroxa, in other words, they're... Well, actually, you're drawing 2 cards around the Trail of Possibility. Okay. So our opponent's now filling up the graveyard to get a Kroxa alive. I guess that's why you want Scorching Dragonfire. Blitz of the Thunder Raptor will also exile this. So another Trill. So they are really loading up. They're ready to cast this. So... yeah, I'll keep that up top. So next turn we're going to actually bounce the inevitable Kroxa. Yeah, they're gonna go for it. It's the real greed play. Sure, they get to ding us again, but at least if they go Bone Crusher Giant, oh, they're repaying the favor. Is he gonna snipe it? Is he gonna snipe it that way too? Well, actually, he's not taking too much, just taking it. In hindsight, if I figured out that was what they were going to do, I probably should have bounced Chandra, keep it alive. But you know what? That's fine. I still need to hold this up for Bone Crusher though. And is our opponent not gonna cast the Bone Crusher? They do have the mana up. They are casting Bone Crusher. So unfortunately, I still have to keep this up. So my turn. So we're gonna ping Chandra just to keep her down a little bit. Stormwing Entity. Scry 2. Yeah, we want that Frantic Inventory, no Fabled Passage. We will play Bone Crusher Giant. It does mean we lose the Brazen Borrower, which is... yeah, it's not ideal. I could have just not cast it. Okay. Okay, trade those off. Yeah, we're gonna lose Brazen Borrower. We kind of goofed up on that one. The better plan was to just... Oh, Heartless Act. Okay, he's not going for it yet unless he has the land on hand. Chandra dealing more damage to us. We're agonizing him. Okay, we lost it anyway. So at least we get to refill our hand. Yeah, definitely keeping Shark Typhoon and Opt on top. In fact, I might leave the Opt up first. Because what we can do with this is we can fire Prophecy into Opt, generate another token that way. Though, have to be careful also. I want to keep the Shark Typhoon up. Opponent is not going for this. He's really protecting that Kroxa at all costs. Here comes the Storm's Wrath. So... let's see if our opponent responds. Because that's enough prowess. I'll force a removal spell at least. Yeah, he had the removal. So this is literally just removal control. It just literally does nothing. We lose the token because of the way Stormstrat's position, but that's kind of fine. I'm actually going to just drop. I'm going to actually just drop the Shark Typhoon. Because at most if we aim for an actual shark, it's just literally... It's literally just gonna be 6/6 and we'll be racing against this. So I'm probably gonna just play that out anyway. If we draw any lands, we start doing the improbable alliance trick. Thankfully, Stormstrat also hits their Chandra as well, but we're now going to go down to... Wow, we need to hit another shark type. Okay, opponent finally cracks Kroxa. So we go down to 7, we go down to 5. We probably might be dead anyway at this point. Is this a new meta? This is interesting, actually. Yeah, we probably should have just cast the... We had an opportunity. We should have just cast the Brazen Borrower right then and there. We would still have that backup option. Now we're not going to win. Unless I can draw the second one and bounce this, but even then, that takes... Okay. I could have played this one first, but I was hoping to hit something else, but well. Yeah, that's a good game. We kind of... Shark Typhoon by itself can be kind of late. We really are cycling this most of the time. I probably was better off cycling it. Maybe then I would be able to at least snipe the Chandra, but we were probably still dead anyway at that point. Let's keep trying though. It's really about making sure those payoffs stick. I'm considering certain other spells, like there is the 2-mana destroy target land spell. A lot of decks are going to be very greedy, so we could go for that. All of these are basically 2 mana. We're going to be very delayed, but it's worth a shot because we at least have 1 temple. So we're literally temple for a mana source. Okay, we'll keep that up top. Next turn, Sprite Dragon. Actually, okay, because this is green. Yeah, next turn, Sprite Dragon. We'll bait out the Stomp. I'm pretty sure this is Adventures. No, Fire Prophecy. Okay, a little bit different. So, next turn, Fabled Passage. Opponent's probably going to hold as well, unless this is the time they show their true colors. Well, they probably crack the land too. We do need 4 mana now to get down the Stormwing Entity live at least. But we do have a way to do it. Oh, we do have an opt also, but we're kind of waiting on turn. So I'm actually going to just crack this now. We look like we're going to need double blue, so we'll get the island. Yeah, we're going to need double blue for this. We do technically have it here. Opponents also seems to be in the card draw plan. So far, we kind of think alike. It's very possible the Ketria Triome is just there for Island Mountain. It's really a question of what Teferi's tutelage. Okay, so it's mill. Which means we have... Oh wait, hold on. That's one way to nuke Teferi's tutelage. So I'm assuming this is literally all draw. So we've at least delayed the tutelage for 1 turn. We can do opt into Stormwing. I have to assume there is Storm's Wrath, but we can't keep playing around that forever. So our opponent will be forced to draw, gets their loot, but they don't get... Okay, they ditch 1 Storm's Wrath, so... We're digging for more lands at this rate. Storm Entity... Another Stormwing Entity is fine because we do have... we still have a shock on hand. And we do get the double Scry, Frantic Inventory, Sprite Dragon. I'm willing to leave these two up top because our opponent is probably going to just replay this and mill it. They could also just play their Storm's Wrath, but no, they're going to get the setup first. They're going to mill these two, these 2 cards. I'm going to hold off on this. I'm more likely to actually just play the Brazen Borrower at this point. Opponent drops a Glimpse of Freedom. Okay. So we hit a Shark Typhoon. So we're still hoping for lands. We milled one. We actually have 2 Frantics now in the graveyard. Actually, we don't kind of want the Frantics now at this point. Opponent goes Blitz of the Thunder Raptor. So that was expected. We could... Does it really matter? No, we'll let it resolve. We'll play the Brazen Borrower out. Force our... If our opponent wants to do the Glimpse of Freedom, they're fine to do that. We'll just play Brazen Borrower, start hitting our opponent. We're still hoping to hit mana though. I'm actually gonna play this, just let's bait out that removal. Our opponent's clearly playing removal. So let's bait it out. Here comes the Bone Crusher. So we hit our 4th mana. So we're actually gonna hold this up. So scry again. Riddle Form Sprite Dragon. We still have 1 payoff left. I kinda want another one, but we're about to mill these 2. Putting them in the bottom is meaningless, so I'm gonna just leave them on top. Yeah, let's dump those. Opponent's about to play this one. The Fairy Master of Time. Do we bother with this? Because what I can do is swing Storm. Okay, we lost a few lands. I can do is swing Stormwing Entity here. Let's see. Does he go for the phase out? Draw a card, discard a card. So I could just shock that. Fire Prophecy doesn't do it. Blitz of the Thunder Raptor does. So there you go. Let's finish the fairy off now. Stern Dismissal. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So at least we got rid of the fairy.
Time's up.
So we're still milling quite a bit of cards, but at least we get to recast the Storming Entity. Our opponent's now down to just this. Okay. Yeah, let's keep these. Kinda, because we don't have any control over the top of our library anymore, so it doesn't really matter for us. So we have a Bone Crusher Giant on reserve. Opponent goes Glimpse of Freedom. We are now at half our deck. Does our opponent have another removal spell? Okay. Let's just actually, no. Let's not cast that now. Because we are better off using this as a 4/4. So we'll actually attack first. Blitz at the Thunder Raptor. Okay, we'll let that go. Let's play the Bone Crusher Giant. Okay. Fire Prophecy is kind of a bit of a dud considering our opponent was playing Teferi there. It is still live against this Bone Crusher Giant. And our life total is not quite meaningful at this point. How much removal did our opponent have? Blitz, Blitz, Blitz. Fire Prophecy, Stormstrat. So quite a bit of removal. Trill. Decline. That's probably a good reason to not play a land, I suppose. So at least we can get our opponent down to 11. Wow, we milled quite a few lands. Those are good mills for us. So we're gonna. So next turn we're just going to leave. So opponent cycling. So it's he's literally just drawing cards at this point. I'm not gonna cast cycle the Shark Typhoon yet because Teferi's Aegis Insight. Okay, that's a do more. He's literally down to his whatever is on top here. He can draw 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a blitz, but we have no good target. So I have to also be careful with the math because... Okay, opponent draws a card. That's their first draw. This one will draw them 2 cards. Okay, that draws 2 cards. So we're very close to death actually. So that's 4 cards off the top. Yeah, Blitz is nice. Just not against this matchup. Okay, lost another Blitz. Lost lands. We're down to 11 cards. Teferi's Tutelage. 10, 9. So be careful with casting a Shark Typhoon. So, yeah, the Ageless Insight. Honestly, it feels like overkill, but kind of working here. So, 10, 9, 8, 7. 6, 5, 4, 3. Oh wow, that's actually it. That's 8 cards. Yeah, that's a good game. That was close. Not quite. The second Teferi's Tutelage ruined it. Ageless Insight really still feels like a win more. Really don't need it. No matter what Saffron Olive says, yeah, it's... But we'll still keep going at this one. So, yeah, I guess we do have a few experiences here. Mill is possibly fast enough if we don't have enough aggro responses. Thankfully, there is quite a bit of landfall to consider for early. That's a plan. Otherwise, we do have Disenchant now, so... That said, I'm definitely playing Fabled Passage first. We have 1 removal. We have some of our payoffs early. It's also concerning if our opponent... If our opponent just plays a swap... They clearly have an action of sorts. Yeah, Thieves Guild Enforcer. Different kind of mill. This deck will actually get better with... Oh, we needed those lands. So this deck will actually get better over time because we're gonna get so many rogues. Yeah, no sense in hiding it now. We've already shown that we do have red. So I need to consider if I just go for Fire Prophecy right here. It will depend what our opponent's next drops are. I think I just go for it now. I would probably bin Cunning. Okay, get some more. Okay, lost the Blitz, but that's fine. So we will try to draw into something. Probably bin the Shark Typhoon. Well, it's as if I didn't do anything. Okay, so... Yeah, this is gonna just be... This could just be... the mere flash. Okay, if we hit... Yeah, so unfortunately, there's plenty of cards that that have responses like Heartless Act and whatnot. So it's turning out to be not so great anymore at this point. Our opponent's about to get a 3-2. Do I want Improbable Alliance? Yes, I do want Improbable Alliance. We're going to need to block a lot of cards, so this is pretty much my answer for it. I would okay, so here comes the other thief. No, Slitherwisp. Okay. What okay? It's not okay. Opponent goes to Fairy Master of Time.
It takes impressive knowledge to be a temporal artist.
So we're taking quite a beating right now. Got the shock. I'm gonna swing first on the sprite with the Sprite Dragon, see how he responds with the fairy. Phases out, that's fine. Way too frantic, Brazen Borrower, nope. That's fine. At least we took this out. Opponent's down to 1. Okay, we're not cycling that. We unfortunately still need to draw lands, so I'm gonna cast a Frantic Inventory. Got a land, just not the... Well, it will help us later. So next turn we can play Improbable Alliance with Brazen Borrower back up. Opponent is slightly flooded now. And the Teferi is kind of vulnerable at 2, but let's assume they have a removal spell. Interesting Rankle. Okay, so sacrifice? Oh wait, sacrifice does nothing because it's phased out. Probably discard. Okay, going for the draw card. Sacrifice a creature. It's phased out! We don't get to sacrifice! So... yeah, oops and... yeah, big oops. So, I'll play the Improbable Alliance now. Then I'm going to leave up Brazen Borrower support. We still have to snipe the fairy no matter what. We have Frantic Inventory if we need to generate a creature. Yeah, it's a fairy. Thank you for saving our Sprite Dragon. So let's see how our opponent does it. Because we could just... it's a fairy's tutelage. Oh, so it is a mill strategy. So this is actually going to be interesting. Well, one, I will still need to hold up something to defend against this Rankle. Yeah, we mill 2. There's a Frantic Inventory, so that kinda helps us. Cunning Nightmonder, sure. So opponent is kind of offloaded right now. So we have Opt as an option, but so I actually kind of want to opt. Let's see if we can hit the land. Yes, we hit the land, so good. We're gonna keep that up top. So we're literally surviving off islands. And we have the backup Brazen Borrower in case we need to bounce the Rankle. So far, I like the flash strategy until our opponent played the Fairy's Tutelage. So it was a bunch of do something that interacted with do nothing. Okay. So let's see if our opponent has a response. Okay. We could just bounce this, but no, I'm actually going to bounce their tutelage. They could still have eliminate. That's a one way to get rid of this. Actually, I can't answer that question. Yeah, he had drawn in the law. I can't really answer the question in the sense that I have... But we do have a Brazen Borrower backup now. If I can draw another land, I can drop the Bone Crush. Nope. Thieves Guild Enforcer. Sure. Mills 2 cards. So at least we got rid of Rankle, but now we are going to be down to... That said, our opponent is down to Teferi's Tutelage, so I could kind of bounce it. I can definitely Bone Crusher it though. Okay, opponent is... Yeah, tutoring for lands. They need to hit cards now. So he will play the Tutelage, hit another card. Could I afford to take 3 damage? Okay, opponent loses their Slither Wisp, so they're now living off the top of their library. So I can afford to actually just take the 3 damage here. Swiftwater Cliffs. So now we have double red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it trigger. Oh wait, that's a mistake. I should have done it in upkeep. Okay, we lost a shock there. We'll see what our opponent does next. So he is digging. If our opponent doesn't have anything for the air, we'll just play our own second Brazen Borrower and go for it. Okay, opponent is showing 3 mana. They definitely have something. I'm gonna bite. Because yeah, there's a draw in the law, but that's it. We have the Sprite Dragon, and we have the Shock. I could actually just cast the Riddle form instead, but that's kind. Yeah, the Riddle form feels like it's really not contributing, so I'm probably gonna cut Riddle form. It feels interesting on paper, but in actual practice, not that easy to set up. But what would I rather have? Probably more actual bounce, I guess. We are getting into the Royal again from Zendikar Rising. That's probably what I'd put in there. But there you go. We actually had a bit of an adventure, and that was a very interesting take on the Thieves deck. And let's see what's in store. But you know what? No. I have exactly enough gold for an Amonkhet draft. We'll just save it that way. Anyway, that's it for this episode of the Magic Arena Run. If you like what you saw, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, turn on notifications and whatnot. We will continue exploring these decks. So we got 3 more left, so we're just gonna go through them very quickly. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you guys again next time. Take care, God bless, stay safe wherever you are. Have a great day, everyone.